Do you sometimes feel that you worry excessively, like worry about worrying? That's me. I do that. Or sometimes, most often, driving through the parking lot of a busy supermarket, knowing that I have to go in there to get a jug of milk causes me massive anxiety because it's so busy in there and I just dread walking in with all the people and everything around me. Then it's too much and I feel like I'm going to explode and I just want to go run and hide. Or keeping appointments is a huge challenge for me. Appointments, they will totally ruin my entire week if I know I have an appointment to go to, because I know I'm going to have to talk one-on-one to somebody and I'm going to have to explain something, whether it be something going on with me or my kids or something like that, or try to communicate what I want to say, and I'm going to be lost for words and I'm going to have issues trying to communicate it so they can understand, and it causes me so much anxiety. Can you relate to that? This is what we're going to have a conversation about today, is INFJs and anxiety, but one step a little further, INFJs with ASD and anxiety. It's an interesting topic, so that's what we're going to chat about today, and I'm going to give 5 little action steps that will help bring some results with that anxiety. So if we haven't met before, my name is Trina Brentnell. Welcome to my channel. I'm very happy that you found it. I'm very grateful if you're returning. Welcome back. All right, let's get into this. So it's quite interesting. I'm an INFJ and I also struggle with ASD. I don't talk about it a lot. So you're probably wondering, some of you, what ASD is, and it is autism spectrum disorder. Okay, and it's very common with INFJs. I don't know why. I know there has been studies done to find a correlation, and I don't think that they've been able to identify the correlation yet, but it's very common with INFJs. Now with the anxiety, it gets to be a little bit crazy because INFJ personality types struggle with anxiety for the most part. Maybe not all of us do, but a lot of us do. And ASD, autistic people, struggle with anxiety. So then we put this together, and it's like a double whammy, I call it, right? And I didn't know what was going on. I thought there was something wrong with me. So ASD has that disorder. There is many sensory sensitivities going on with that, like extreme sensory issues. I know from experience, and my youngest son also knows. He's also ASD. Difficulty in social settings. So autism spectrum disorder has that, and difficulty communicating and struggling with unexpected changes. Now, INFJs also are very, very sensitive to sensory input, right? We get overwhelmed very easily. Plus, we absorb other people's emotions on top of that. So not only do we have the overwhelm of all the sensory input coming in, and our brain is constantly taking in all that information, but we also we're absorbing the emotions of those around us. So on top of all that, so it's a little bit crazy. And INFJs do not like unexpected change. We tend to be creatures of habit, I call it, right? That's the J, that's the judging part of our personality type. That's what it means. We like to plan out our life. We like to know what's going on. I really think it's a little bit of a control because of our past childhood for most of us, but whatever it may be, that's what it is. So we put this all together. If you're an INFJ struggling with ASD as well, put this all together, and like I said earlier, it's like a double whammy. I didn't know what was going on with me. I knew I was different, so I had that from the INFJ, but also I was different from a few other INFJs. And there was a few things I had going on that didn't really fit the INFJ personality type. Now, I understand everybody's individual, but what was going on? That's when I discovered that I'm also ASD. So as a kid, my anxiety, which I didn't even realize that it was, I think way back when I was a kid, I don't think they even realized kids could have anxiety. So it wasn't a thing for kids, but I was sick every morning before school. Right from, I remember my first day of preschool because, I hated school so bad, you guys. So bad. It was the worst experience of my life. All 12 years I graduated. I pushed through and I did graduate, but I hated every moment of it. Oh, it was horrible. I can't even explain it. So anyway, as a kid, I would be sick every morning before going to school. Pretty much the entire school years, right? I would dread as I grew up and I got jobs and a career, I would dread going to work in the morning. Same kind of dread as going to school, but almost worse. Because now I was an adult, I was working with other adults, and I could feel the unease people had around me, right? Because people didn't get me, they didn't understand me, and I could feel that unease, and I could feel they're uncomfortable, and I knew they weren't understanding, and I'm trying to explain because I had answers for them, and I could help them, and never taken serious. Walking by a group standing on a sidewalk, that still is huge, guys, for me. Huge. When I go pick up my son, I really have to work on myself every day at the school because other parents are all in their little groups there talking, and it causes me massive anxiety, and I really have to work on myself and use some of these tools that I'm going to share with you. And scared of trying everything because this would spark my overthinking. Okay? Because INFJs also overthink, which triggers anxiety. So trying new things, I knew that I would start overthinking, and I didn't like getting pulled deep into my head like that because it's not a good feeling. INFJs, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's very exhausting, and sometimes it's really hard to get out of there. Those racing thoughts, the self-doubt, the negativity towards myself, all would start. So I was scared to do anything, and I wouldn't do anything. I would talk myself out of it, and I would stay in my little bubble being scared, and there were so many things I wanted to try and couldn't do it because I was scared. I didn't know what was going on, and it was really just the anxiety getting the best of me. The anxiety from both direction, ASD and INFJ, put it all together, and woo, here we go. A big ball of anxiety walking around, and what is going on? And it doesn't feel very good. And it causes lots of struggles, and we definitely can't get to our best life when we're living like that. And we don't have to live like that. So that is the point of this video that I'm sharing today, is that we don't have to live like that. There are things that we can do for anxiety. So these are my top 5 things that I'm going to share with you that I use. I use other things too, but I didn't have hours and hours to keep you guys on this video, and neither do you. Everyone's busy. So the number one thing, I think that the sun is making my video shine. Just one sec, guys. I gotta fix something here. There we go. I could see the light moving. I don't know if you guys could see it on the video. Anyway, we're gonna move on. Okay, these top 5 things are my favorite things that help my anxiety. My first thing that I did that really helped me was identifying that it was anxiety, then identifying I was an INFJ, and identifying that I also struggle with ASD. That was huge for me. That was probably the biggest game changer ever, because I discovered that, for one, I wasn't broken or damaged. I just am who I am. I see things differently. My brain works differently, and that's just how it is. There's really nothing wrong with me. When we're INFJ and when we're ASD, there's nothing wrong with us. Our brain just works differently. We're still amazing people. I felt less broken, but I understood that there were other people around that were like me, that had the same struggles. I was not the only one, because up until then I felt like I was the only one. I had never met another INFJ. I had met autistic people, but I had never met an INFJ. So I could relate to a little bit of other autistic people, depending on how much on the spectrum they are, like how functioning they are. So I could relate a little bit, but not a whole lot. So when I found out with the INFJ, I was like, wow, I'm not the only person. This is amazing. It was great. Once I did that, I realized I wasn't broken. I could start looking for solutions, which was huge. Changing a mindset that way and shifting it so you're not stuck and feeling, I don't want to say feeling bad about yourself, but you do feel bad when every day is a constant struggle with absolutely everything you do. You really do start feeling bad about yourself when it's just all a struggle. Number 2, keeping routine. Keeping routine is huge. Breaking routine is like a big deal for me, but I can do it. I can do it. I have to work on myself. What's going on in my inner? You don't usually see it on the outside of me anymore, but on the inside, it's kind of a big deal going on in there, but I work through it. I'm getting really good at working through it, but from routine, I like to also use visual aids. Okay, so keeping your routine, yes, is helpful, and I'm very much a stickler to that, but I also like to use visual aids. I'm old school, so I like to use a calendar like an actual paper calendar that I write down on, that's got cute pictures of animals of something. This year it's baby animals, but anyway, and I write down everything. The reason this really helps me is because I can prepare, I can see my entire month of what's going on, and there's really nothing spontaneous about me. So to get me to do something that's not on my calendar, like the very next day, is probably not going to happen. I need a few days. I need to see it on my calendar. And this really helps me. It's kind of a big deal, and it helps me prepare. Create a calming environment. This was also big. Basically, I got rid of things I didn't like in my house, and I really didn't care about my decorating. I do it the way I want it. The way I decorate is what brings me comfort. So my decor in my house might not all match. It might be very random, and that's okay. I don't care, because it's what brings me comfort. It's the things that I have up all have meaning, and there's a reason why I have them up. So yes, when you walk into my house, it's not all going to be matching. It's kind of mismatched, but I had to do this because I had heard it makes a difference, and it makes a huge difference when you're in a calming environment that makes you feel happy. So declutter, that was huge. Sensory tools also in your environment work. So what I mean by that is like noise canceling headphones will help. Those fidget spinner toys. I know they help if you're like in a waiting room with a whole bunch of people. If you're like me, that's like a big deal. It's huge. It's dreadful. The fidget spinners, if you don't even have to bring them out, you can just actually play with them in your pocket. That will actually really help too. And weighted blankets. I have a dog that's like a weighted blanket, so that's what I use. But I have heard really good things about weighted blankets. And I do believe my sister uses one. She struggles with anxiety as well. Number 4, deep breathing. Works really good when you can feel it coming on, like when you're going to walk up to the school to get your son and all the parents are standing in groups and you feel very anxious. Deep breathing. Deep breathing helps really well. There's an app, it's called Headspace, I believe, that will help guide you through it. Different deep breathing exercises, which I've heard good things about. I've never used it, but I've heard good things about it. One step further from the deep breathing, when I do it, I also remind myself that I am okay, I am safe, and I am loved. It sounds a little corny, I know, but it works really good. It does. It works really good to bring you back into your body. And then I also look around while I'm walking past these groups of people. I don't really see them. I look around me to find something I haven't noticed before, preferably something beautiful or neat. Maybe a bird perched somewhere or a flower or whatever time of the season it is. I just try to notice something. And if I'm having a really hard time, because some days are worse than others, then I'll notice like whole three things or more, whatever I feel like doing really. And number 5, and this was also a big thing, is challenge my negative thoughts. So when they would come up, I would notice them. Again, we have to be mindful, which is a bit of a challenge for an INFJ. It takes practice, so have self-compassion. But we can get there, being mindful of those negative thoughts and then reframing them. Not coming down on ourselves when we have them, just saying, oh, there's that thought again, and I really don't want to think that, so let's think something different. Easy. That's all you have to do, not come down on yourself. I hope this was helpful. I'm curious if any of you INFJs that watch this can relate to the overlap between ASD and INFJ anxiety. I'm very curious, and if you would like to, I invite you to share your experiences. All right? Thank you so much for watching. I hope it was helpful. I really do. If it was, please give me the thumbs up, like my video, and I invite you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Thanks again, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye for now.